going on, boys and girls, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome geek and car culture YouTube channel in South Africa. I'm your host, Whassup, and welcome back. I know it's been a while. Just to give you a bit of an update, things have been a bit off kilter, a bit chaotic in my home life. Things have changed quite a bit. I recently got a new job as a writer for an online magazine called Sista Mag. And as well, I'm taking care of my dad these days. He's 85 years old. He's had diabetes for a while. So things are getting a little advanced to the point where he needs more and more help with, day-to-day things. So balancing those two things has been a bit of a challenge. YouTube kind of took a bit of a back seat because of that while I sort of sorted myself out. Despite the fact that things are looking better as far as advancement and life in general, they're also getting busier. So my apologies for that. I'm going to do my best to get back on schedule and be as consistent as I can. Just bear with me as I navigate through the challenges as well while I do that. So anyway, on to today's video. Today we're reviewing Coming to America, the sequel to Eddie Murphy's cult classic that came out way back in the 80s. I forget exactly which decade, but it was around the time we had films like Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, the movies that really boosted Eddie Murphy's status as an actor, as an entertainer, into the stratosphere. Around the same time, he released his two comedy specials, Delirious and Raw. Most of the people that have known me for quite some time know that as far as comedy is concerned, Eddie Murphy has always been my idol. To me, he will always be hands down the best comedian ever. Of course, this is an opinion, but I have my reasons for saying so. Of course, people have their own favorites. And yeah, so it was very excited for me to hear about his return to this franchise, his return to the screen in general. And of course, this is one of the movies that put him on the map for me, watching it growing up. So the anticipation was quite high, which brings me to my next point. I was disappointed in this film. This is, it was entertaining to watch. It was nice to know that there's a lot of South African people that were actually involved in the film as well. Nomzamo Mbatha, as many of you know by now, was a bit of a standout star in this film, and it was nice to see her on the international stage, sharing the screen with legends like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. I think basically 90% of the original cast actually came back for this film. So it was very nice and nostalgic in that way to actually watch, a piece of my childhood being brought to the modern time. So Nomzamo Mbatha obviously killed it there. It was a great representation for our side. It kind of supports my channel's vision of To Infinity and Beyond. She's definitely doing that. It's a very inspiring thing to see. Now, the thing that I didn't like about Coming to America is the fact that, they relied a lot on the popularity and success of the first film, because a lot of the jokes and the dialogue were basically callbacks to, to the first film. That's where the jokes themselves were originated. So now it's like, they're trying to remind audiences as to where this franchise comes from. Remember how funny that was, so on and so forth. But aside from that, there wasn't too much more original stuff. I mean, it was a new story. Excuse me. It was a new story in the sense that, Eddie Murphy is now basically on the precipice of becoming king, because King Joffrey Jaffa has now passed away, played by James Earl Jones, who also came back. It was fantastic to see him again. And now the mantle of king was going to pass over to Akeem. And there was a neighboring country, which is literally called Nextdoria, whose leader is Wesley Snipes, who was fantastic in the film. I would say, actually, he was most likely the best part of the film. He reminds us how much of a good comedic actor Wesley Snipes can be, despite the fact that most people know him for his role in Blade and as a fantastic martial artist and action actor. But, we forget that he was in White Men Can't Jump and Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything. He's got fantastic range as an actor, and I really wish he was reprising his role as Blade. Not that I'm saying Mahershala Ali is a bad actor, but I'm a Wesley Snipes guy. But yeah, so the story revolved around him, his character. I think it was General Titi or Riri or something along those lines. And he basically was threatening war against Zamunda if the two nations didn't join in marriage. And his sister was actually the arranged bride for Akim in the first movie, who was left on the altar barking like a dog. So that's basically how they tied in the story in terms of writing as to how his character makes sense and how he has a connection to the royal family of Zamunda. I think that part of it was very great writing. So of course now this means, and at the same time, Akim discovers that he has a bastard son, because on his travels to Queen in the first movie, he did a little sowing of his royal oats at the behest of Arsenio Hall's character. I forget his character name. And that resulted in him having a bastard son that he has to now track down, bring back to Zamunda, and groom him to become prince and eventually take over the kingdom to stave off the war. So that's basically how the plot went. And but if you think about it, it's kind of the same story beats as the first movie anyway, because Akim also had to, go on this voyage to go and find his queen, that he wanted to marry out of love and not one that was arranged for him. And, the story ensued from there. But it was nice visiting the old cast. We saw McDowell, he was still there. He had a McDowell in Zamunda, and there was a grand opening for that. And, Eddie Murphy now has 3 daughters, which is the reason why he has to go on this journey anyway, because he didn't have a son from his wife. And they couldn't take over the king because Zamunda is very old school in how they run things. It's very patriarchal. So it was nice that they touched on things like that, things like equality and a little bit of feminism here and there. And Akim was always a standout ruler in that sense because he had more respect for women than, his fellow countrymen, which is part of the reason why he went out looking for love and not arranged marriage in the first place. So that was good. But as a comedy movie, especially as an Eddie Murphy comedy movie, I was really disappointed because there wasn't anything new or revolutionary. I mean, granted, Eddie Murphy's been away for some time. I can forgive him for that, but I still kind of expected more as a fan, as someone who calls him his idol. But but that's basically my wrap up for the movie Coming to America. It was an entertaining enough watch, but it wasn't the the breakout sensation that the first movie was. But that's going to be it from me as far as my thoughts on this film. I reckon to prepare yourself, watch the first film first and then watch this one so that you'll understand a lot of the jokes that they drop in this film, but you'll most likely end up enjoying the first one better. So that's going to be it from me, guys. I have been Zwele Tumahlamu. If you've seen this film, comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. Share your opinions. If you enjoyed this review, please click on the thumbs up icon and leave us a like. If you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing and be sure to ring that bell icon so you are notified each and every time I drop new content on this here channel. As usual, people, stay awesome, stay chasing your dreams to infinity and beyond.